Hello student, let's start with the next topic. Okay, last time we have seen the two types of the LR parsing. In that we have seen the LR0 parser and the SLR1 parser. So we are discussing about the different techniques in the bottom of parsing. And now today also we are going to see the remaining two types of the parsing under the LR parsing and under the main category bottom of parsing. So today we are going to discuss about the CLR1 parsing and the LALR1 parsing. So already we have discussed bottom-up parsing consists of different techniques, where in the bottom-up parsing we start from the bottom and we try to reach to the starting symbol in order to parse the particular string. So this bottom-up parsing we are using to check whether the particular string syntax is correct or not. And we are checking it through the different techniques. Already before this we have checked it through the top-down parsing also, and from some previous lectures we are discussing about the bottom-up parsing techniques. So already under this shift reduce parsing we have discussed, operator precedence parsing also we have discussed, and from last lecture we are discussing about the table driven parsers. So under the table driven parsers, which are being also referred as the LR parsers, already we have discussed LR0 parsers and the SLR1 parsers. Now, if you see the CLR1 parser and the under the bottom of parsing, CLR1 is the third technique. So just like in the top-down parsing, under the top-down parsing, we have discussed about the predictive parser, which require the different data structure, like it requires the parsing table, stack, and some functions to parse the string. Here, in case of the LR bottom-up parsing, also we require the parsing table, stack, and some functions to parse the particular string and to check the syntax of the particular string or the sentence. So if you see all the parsers under the bottom-up parsing, specifically all the parsers under the LR parsing of the bottom-up parsing, like LR0, SLR1, CLR, LALR. So the process of parsing is same, and only change is nothing but the change in the construction of the parsing table. So before this also we have discussed how there is a change in the construction of parsing table of LR0 parser as compared with the SLR1 parser. So we have already discussed, in case of the LR0 parsers, we put the reduction entries in the entire row, but in case of the SLR1 parser, we just put the reduction entry into the follow-up left-hand side. So also we have discussed, for the purpose of LR0 parsing and SLR1 parsing, which is consist of the simple LR parser, we required the canonical collection of LR0 atoms, but the techniques today we are going to discuss, like the CLR parser and the LLR parser. For this, we require the canonical collection of LR1 items. Okay, that is the only difference if you compare these two techniques with these two techniques. And also, the way of constructing the parsing table is also the different. Okay, so let's see the next. So just like the previous two parsers we have discussed, LR0 and the SLR1, here also we are going to need the two same functions, the closure functions and the goto functions for the CLR1 parser. So CLR, the C here, the C stands for the canonical, and LR already you know the full form of the LR, left to right scanning with the rightmost derivation in the reverse. That is the meaning of LR. L stands for the left to right scanning, R stands for the rightmost derivation in the reverse. Okay, this already we have discussed. Now the same kind of terms we required in order to do the CLR parsing. Also, we require the augmented grammar. So what is the augmented grammar? That also last time we have seen. If there is a grammar G with the starting symbol S, then G dash is considered as augmented grammar for the original grammar G, and this augmented grammar G dash is nothing but the with some new starting symbol S dash, and production S dash derive the starting symbol S. And why we need the augmented grammar, that also last time I told you. The purpose of this new starting production is to indicate to the parser when it should stop parsing and when the announcement of acceptance of the input can be done. So the augmented grammar helps to the parser to indicate or to announce whether the string or the particular sentence can be accepted or not. Not to announce that final outcome, we utilize the augmented grammar. Okay, so here I have mentioned the augmented grammar purpose is for the announcing purpose of acceptance of particular input. Whatever the input we are checking for the syntax analysis, whether that input is syntactically correct or not, that can be announced with the help of the augmented grammar. Augmented grammar helps to the this particular LR parsers, and specifically in that CLR1 parser, to announce whether the particular string can be accepted or not. So if this is the original grammar, H derives AA and A derives a small a and small b. So for this particular grammar, augmented grammar like this can be generated. Now, how it is generated, that already last time I told you, we have to introduce the new non-terminal S dash and S dash, and we have to derive the S dash to the S, means we have to derive the S dash to the starting symbol of this particular original grammar, and rest of the things we write as it is. Okay. So the main purpose of having the augmented grammar is nothing but to give idea to the parser when the parser should stop parsing and announce the acceptance of input string. Okay. So the kind of different data structure required for the LR parsing, that also last time we have discussed. The same kind of data structure required for the CLR1 parser also, like we require the input buffer, we require the LR parsing algorithm, LR parsing table, stack, etc., etc. So here to the parsing table, we just refer the CLR1 parsing table. Okay. Now, why we require these data structure? Like for example, input buffer we required because it contains the particular input string that has to be parsed, and it is always followed by the dollar symbol. Dollar indicate the end of particular input string. Also, we require the stack. So stack used to contain the sequence of grammar symbol. Okay, last time I told you, when we are parsing the string, the stack contains the grammar symbol. And also we require the parsing table, which is the two-dimensional table, and it contains the two main parts, like one is the action part, another is a go-to part. So while we parsing the string, the parsing table help us to take the decision when the reduction should be done. Now, if you see the different steps to perform the parsing using the CLR1, the same steps you can observing here that we have discussed regarding the previous CLR parsings, like adding the augmented grammar, then generation of canonical collection of LR1 atoms. Now, one thing different here is what we have to utilize the canonical collection of LR1 atoms, and how to generate the canonical collection of LR1 atoms, that we will see. Then we have to construct the CLR1 parsing table, and last steps are as it is parsing the input string and generation of the parse string. Okay. Now, so first step is nothing but the adding the augmented grammar. So here you already know how to create the augmented grammar. Suppose we have given the string a dollar, and we have given the grammar these, and so this grammar can be easily augmented by taking the or starting with by introducing new non-terminal S dash, deriving the starting symbol of this grammar S, and write the rest of the part as it is. So this is nothing but the adding the augmented grammar. Then next is nothing but the generation of canonical collection of LR1 atoms. Now already we know, we have discussed in the previous lecture what is the LR0 atoms. Okay, so LR0 atom of the grammar is nothing but presence of the dot at some position in the right hand side of that grammar, that is called as a LR, the grammar with the LR0 items. Now what is the meaning of that dot? That already last time I told you. Now this, if the dot is present at this stage at the starting of this whole string, it indicates parser has not seen anything. Parser has not seen anything in the sense the parser still has to start the parsing the string or reading the string. Okay. A dot BC indicate parser has seen the string A only. AB dot C indicate the parser has string the AB, and ABC dot indicate the parser has seen whole string ABC, and now as a parser has seen whole string ABC, now parser is ready to reduce the ABC to S. So why there is a requirement of these LR0 items here I have mentioned, because main decision that we have to take during the bottom up parsing is nothing but when the reduction should be performed, means when the replacing the right hand side with the left hand side. So we can do the reduction to the left hand side only when the parser has seen the entire string from the right hand side, and that indication whether parser has seen entire string from the right hand side, that indication is given with the help of the LR0 item. So from this we can say LR0 item tells whether it is the right time to do the reduction or not. So that is regarding the LR0 items. Last time also I told you. But now what exactly is the LR1 items? Because in case of CLR1 parser, we have to utilize the we have to utilize canonical collection of LR1 items. Okay, canonical collection of LR1 items. So first we understand what exactly mean by the LR1 items. Okay, so generally LR1 item is nothing but like this. It being described in this way: LR1 items equal to LR0 item plus look ahead. Okay. Now, what do you mean by the look ahead? That also number of times I told you. Look ahead nothing but the kind of symbol or the here look ahead here meaning of the look ahead, we have to take it as a look ahead symbol. Okay, the which indicates which particular next symbol to be parsed. That indication is given with the help of the look ahead symbol. Okay. Now, here, what is the meaning of look ahead symbol? We will discuss. Suppose we have given the production. Now, LR1 item is nothing but what? LR0 items plus look ahead. Now, we already know the what exactly mean by the LR0 item. Okay. Now, we have to just understand what exactly mean by the look ahead in this case. So before this, we have seen the look ahead pointer. So look ahead pointer is used to point to the next symbol of the input string that has to be parsed by the parser. That is the main utilization of look ahead pointer. Now here, look ahead symbol is also doing the same thing. Okay, look ahead pointer point to the look ahead symbols. Now, how to generate this look ahead symbol in case of the LR1 items, that we have to focus here. Suppose this is the production given, and so S derives dot AA. Now this is nothing but the LR0 items, because you know the LR0 item is nothing but what? The dot present at some position on the right hand side of grammar. That particular grammar is considered as a grammar with the LR0 items. So this is the LR0 items. Okay, but if you just write this grammar like this, or the production rule of particular grammar like this, S derives dot AA comma A by B, then this in this production rule of the grammar, this A by B or this A and B is called as a look aheads. What? This particular whole part is nothing but our LR0 items. If along with the LR0 items look ahead is there, then that particular grammar is considered as a grammar with the LR1 items. Okay, so in this production rule, you can easily see here we have the this as a LR0 because dot is present at some position on the right hand side, and along with that, by giving the comma, here we have added the two symbols A and B. So this A and B is now considered as a look ahead symbols. This A and B is considered as what? Look ahead symbols. Now question is what? How to generate this look ahead symbol, that we are going to discuss next. Okay, so you have to just understand what exactly mean by the LR1 items. So LR1 items is nothing but what? LR0 items plus look ahead. Understood? Like this. So in case of CLR1 parsing table, or in case of the CLR1 parsing, these look ahead symbols are generally utilized to place the reduction entries in the parsing table. Okay, so main utilization of this look ahead symbol in case of CLR1 parsing is nothing but what? We are going to put the reduction entries only under these look ahead symbols. Because if you see the LR0 parser, we are putting the reduction entries in the whole rows, in entire row. In case of SLR1, we are making the reduction entry in the follow-up left hand side. But here, in case of CLR1 parser, we are going to utilize the look ahead symbol, and this look ahead symbol will give idea to the parser to place the reduction entries below the look ahead symbols. Okay, not below not under the entire row, not in the follow up left hand side, But lookahead symbols give idea to the CLR1 parser to place the reduction entries only below the lookahead symbol. So that is nothing but the utilization of lookahead symbols in case of CLR1 parser. Now question is how to generate these lookahead symbols. Okay. Now let's see, we have the given grammar like this: S derives A derives A and B. Now for this augmented grammar can be generated like this, we know. Okay, this is the augmented grammar with the LR0 items, because dot is present at some position on the left hand side, sorry, right hand side. Now for this particular augmented grammar, now we have to see how this can be converted into the grammar with the LR1 items. Now this is the grammar. This is the grammar with the LR0 items. Okay, this is the grammar with the LR0 items. Now we have to convert it the grammar with the LR1 items. Now how to do this? Let's see. Okay, if you just take, now we have to take this production one by one. If you see the first production, S dash derives dot S. Okay. Now this is the augmented production. You can see this is what augmented production, because our original grammar is like this, but we have added the extra production. That is the reason it is called as augmented production. So this is the augmented production. Okay. And this is the augmented production with the LR0 items. Okay. We have to make it LR1 items. So for initial production, you have to keep in one thing in mind by default, and it is mandatory for all the kind of grammars. For initial production, we have to always take dollar as a lookahead symbol. Whatever the grammar is given, okay, for that initial production, we have to take dollar as a lookahead symbol by default. Okay, so that is the reason here we are getting the first step of the grammar with the LR1 atom, that is S dash deriving the dot S comma, and as I said, for the first production you have to take the dollar as a lookahead symbol. Second step is like this: S derives dot AA comma dollar. Now how to get the second step? Okay, let's see. To get the second step here, we have to see which is the symbol after the dot. Now we are going to get our second step from the first step. We have to get our second step from the first step. Okay. To get the second step, we have to see which is the symbol after the dot. Now, in case of first step, which is the symbol after the dot? It is the S, means it is a non-terminal S. So it is a non-terminal S. So we have to add the production related with the S. Okay. So here you can see the symbol after the dot is S. So we have to add the production related with S with dot at the beginning. Means simply we are applying here the closure operation. So here we have to add the production related with S with the dot at the beginning, and then find the first of remaining. Next thing we have to do is what? We have to find the first of remaining. Okay. So we do the first step. We add the production related with the S with the dot at the beginning. Now, what is the production related with the S? You can see the production related with the S is nothing but what? This S derives AA. So S derives dot AA. And what is the next step we have to perform? Next step you have to perform is nothing but you have to take the first of what is the remaining part. So you have to take the first of what is the remaining part of this first step. So then find the first. So here I have mentioned first add the production related with S with the dot at the beginning, and then take the first of remaining. So what is the first of remaining here? First of remaining is nothing but first of dollar. So first of dollar is always the dollar, which is then considered as a lookahead symbol for the second production. So in this way, we are getting here the second production. Okay. So only two steps you have to apply. What is the first step? We have to add the production related with that particular non-terminal symbol. Okay, which is having the dot on its left hand side. And second step, you have to take the first of remaining part. Okay. So let's see the next. Okay, now here you can see how to get the third step. Now this is already we have done. Now how to get these thirds and this fourth step. Now you know to get the third step, add the production related with now we have to see the second, this second production we have to see. So you have to add the production related with this non-terminal A with the dot at the beginning. Okay. So the production related with the A is nothing but what? A and the B. So we add A derives dot A. Okay. and take the first stop remaining. Means you have to take the first stop remaining means you have to take the first stop $1. So if you see our original grammar is like this: S derives AA and A derives AA or B. So what is the first of A? First of A is A and B, and first of, so we have to take the first of A, that is A and B. So we just add A and B. Okay, what? A and B, and first of dollar is what? Dollar itself. Understood? So you have to just focus on this starting non-terminal symbol. As here you are getting A and B. So first of $1 is nothing but first of A. So first of A is A and B. So that is the reason here we have written the third step dot AA comma AB. Okay, and dot B comma AB, because second, okay, production related with the A is nothing but what? AA and B. Okay, so here it should be the small b. Okay, so in this way we have got the third step and the fourth step also. So in this way we have got the LR1 atoms, you can easily see. So these are nothing but our final grammar with the LR1 atoms. This is called the LR1 atoms because it is consist of the LR0 plus leukoid symbols. Okay, it is a small b. Okay, so this is nothing but our I0 state in the canonical collection of LR1 atoms. So we get the I0 state, which is the canonical collection of all LR1 atoms. Starting with the S dash gives the dot S. So here we have taken the first production and apply the closure operation. So this is our first step. Now rest of the things is as it is that we have done in the canonical collection of LR0 atoms. Okay. So next, here we have to apply the go to operation, closure and go to as it is like the previous. So now we apply the go to on the S. So for this first production, if you apply the go to on the S, we'll get the I1 state. And when you apply the go to, you have to move the dot to the dot from left hand side of that symbol to the right hand side. So here we'll get the I1 as a final item. Okay. S dash derive S dot, and you have to carry this leukoid as it is. Okay. So this is our first final item, but this is the final item we have got because of the augmented grammar. And this will help us to announce the acceptance of particular string. Okay. Second step is S dot S derives dot AA dollar. So we'll apply the go to operation again here. So go to operation on non-terminal A, we'll get the I2 state S dash derives A dot A and carry the leukoid as it is. So here we have to apply the closure operation because dot is present on the left hand side of A. So we'll add the production related with the A dot AA with the dollar as a leukoid, and A derives dot B with the dollar as a leukoid. Okay. So this is finished, closure operation finished. Then again, next we have to apply the go to on the terminal A. Here go to on the terminal A, we get the I3 state. If you apply the go to on the terminal A, you have to move the dot from left of this terminal A to the right. So we'll get the A derives A dot A, and now leukoid for this is A and B. So dot is present on the left hand side of non-terminal. So you have to add the production related with the A. These are nothing but the A derives dot A comma AB and A derives dot B comma AB. Okay. Then last production, you have to add the good apply the go to operation on the terminal B. So here you will get the I4 state and A derives the B dot, and here you will get our next final item, that's A derives B dot and with the leukoid AB. Now again I2 state we have to simplify. Now on the I2 state, we apply the go to on the terminal A, and you will get the I5 state. Now this is like our next final item, AA dot and the dollar as a leukoid. Then again we apply go to on the terminal A. If you apply the go to on the terminal A, you will get the next state, that is I6 A derives dot AA. Then again here we get the what we can say dot before the, here we get the dot start at the left hand side of this non-terminal. So again you have to add the closure operation, you have to add the production related to A. These are the dot A derived dot A dollar, A derived dot B dollar. Okay. Then here again go to on the terminal B. Here we the again next final item we'll get, that is the I7, which is nothing but the A derives B dot and dollar. Next I3 we have to simplify. Now if you try to simplify the I3, you have to move for the first production we have to move the dot from this left of this non-terminal A to the right, and here that's why the go to on the non-terminal A, we will get the next final item, that is a I8. For second production in the I3, you have to apply the you have to apply the go to operation. So if you apply the go to operation here, we'll get the this kind of situation, A, okay, and A by B, and add the production related with A, that will be the like dot A by B, and here B dot A by B, means same state we are going to get. That is the reason here you can see the go to on the terminal A is being shown to the that I3 itself. Okay. Then we have to apply the go to for the third production on the terminal B. So if you apply the go to here, we will get this step only, and that is the reason arrow is shown to the fourth step. Okay. Next, we have to simplify the I6 again. So if you simplify the I6 again, and if you apply go to on the non-terminal A, we'll get the I9 state here. Okay, A dot, A derives A dot, and this is next final item we'll get. Now, if you apply the go to on the terminal A, we are going to get the same state. That's why the arrow is shown to the I6 itself. So in this way, you have to get the canonical collection of LR1 atoms. Now, if you compare this canonical collection of LR1 atoms with the canonical collection of LR0 atoms, here you can see the states are increased, and the main reason behind the states are increased, nothing but what? Because of the look ahead symbols, the states are increased. Because if you see the some states, if you see the states like I3 and the I6, here both of the states are similar, but LR0 item of this both of the state is similar, but look aheads are different. If you see the I4 and I7, here also the LR0 items are same, means this part is same, but look aheads are different. If you see the I8 and the I9 also, LR0 part is same, but the look aheads are different. Because of this, some extra steps are increased here. Okay. Then now next we have to construct the parsing table for CLR1. Okay, this is the next important step, to construct the parsing table for CLR1 items. Okay, so for these all the things are similar, just like the LR0 and SLR1. Only the change is where to place the reduction entries, that is the different thing. Okay, now if you see the I from the I0, on I0 you are going to the I1 on non-terminal S. That is the reason below the this S, this is your action part. Okay, and this is your go to part. So you know, whenever there is a movement from one state to the another state on the non-terminal, you have to add the entry in the go to part. So here I0 on non-terminal A is going to the I1. So here below the S we add the 1. Then I0 on, again I0 on the non-terminal A going to the I2. So I0 on the non-terminal A going to the I2. That's why below the A, okay, below the A we add the 2. Okay, this is actually below the A 2. Okay. Then, okay, this is actually the A must be here. Okay. So below the A there is a 2. Then I0 on the terminal A is going to the I3. So when there is a movement go to operation from one state to another state on terminal, so we have to add the entry into the table as a shift. So I0 on the terminal A is going to the I3. So here we add the S3 below the A. Then I0 on the terminal is going to the I4. That's why below the B we add the S4. Okay. Then I1 is the final item, but this is the final item generated because of the augmented grammar, and that is the reason in the I1 state and below the dollar we write the accept mark, because dollar as a lookup indicate the string is being terminated. Okay, so this will help us to this will help to the parser to announce whether string can be accepted or not. Okay, then next I2 on the non-terminal A is going to the next another state, that is I5. That is the reason I2 on non-terminal is going to the I5. That's why here we have written the 5. Then I2 on the terminal A is going to the I6. That's why S6 here. I2 on the terminal B is going to the I7. That's why S7 is here. Then I3 on the I3 on the non-terminal A is going to I8. That's why 8 is here. I3 on the terminal A is represent is pointing to the I3 itself. That's why S3 is there. I3 on the terminal is going to the I4. That's why S4 is below the B. Then I4 is the final item. Okay. I4 is the final item. As I said, in case of CLR1 parser, we have to put the reduction entries below the look ahead symbols. So for the I4, now you know the I4 is A deriving the B dot. Now, as we know, we have our original grammar like this: S derives A, then A derives small a, capital A, and again A derives small b. So we have to number this production. This has a 1, this has a 2, and this has a 3. So I4 is having the production A derives B dot. So this is the production number 3. So we have to make the entry as a R3, but where you have to make the entry? Below the lookahead symbol. So our lookahead symbols are A and B. So we'll make the entry below the A as R3, entry below the B as R3. Then state I5 is also the final state, final item. So it is a production number first. That's why. And now lookahead is a dollar. So below the dollar, we add the R1. Next, I6. So I6 on the non-terminal A is going to I9. So that's why below the A we write the 9. So I6 on the terminal A is I to the I6 itself. That's why S6 here. I6 on the terminal B is going to the I7. That's why the S7 there. Okay. The next step is the I7. So I7 is also the final item. So it derives B dots. This is our production number 3. So, and look at the dollar. So below the dollar only we will write the R3 in the I7 state. Then I8 is also the final item. So, but I8 is the production number 2, and its lookaheads are A and B. So in case of the I8, we write the reduction entries below the A and reduction entry below the B. Then last one is the I9, which is also the final item, which is our production number 2 in that item. So, and lookahead is the dollar. So below the dollar only we will add the R2. Okay. So in this way, you have to generate the parsing table for CLR1 parser. Okay. Now, so if you see the reduction entries, how we have made the reduction entries, the same point I have mentioned here. So the placement of shift movement in the CLR1 parsing table is same as the SLR1 parsing table. Only difference is in the placement of the reduction movements. Only difference in the placement of the reduction entries. So as already I told you, I4 contain the final item. That is the reason under the I4 and below the only the lookahead symbols, we have made the entries of reduction entries. In case of the I5 also, we have made the reduction entries below the lookahead symbol dollar only. Okay, here you can see. In case of the I7 also, we have made the reduction entries below the dollar only, because lookahead for the I7 and the production in the I7 is a dollar. Similar is thing we have done for the I8 also. We have made the reduction entries below the A and B. Okay, because the lookahead for the I8 are A and B. Then, and for the I9 also, we have made the reduction entry below the dollar, because for the I9, the production is AA and its lookahead is the dollar. So in this way, you have to construct the parsing table, and also you have to generate the canonical collection of LR1 items for the CLR1 parser. Okay, and the step 4th and 5th, that is the parsing the input string and generation of parse tree. These are the same. In case of that, you have to apply the same procedure that we have done while we have solved the one example during the LR0 parsing. That procedure is as it is same. Okay. Then LA LR1. Okay. So our fourth parsing under the bottom of parsing, and under the bottom of parsing, table driven parser, that is the LR parsers. Under that, our fourth technique is related with the LA LR1 parser. So this is the last kind of parser in a table driven parser, and under the LR parsing, that is the LA LR1 parser. So steps for the LA LR1 parsers are similar like previous CLR1 parser, like adding the augmented grammar, then generation of canonical collection of LR1 items, constructing the LA LR1 parsing table. Okay, so this step is only different, constructing the LA LR1 parsing table, that only we are going to discuss. Rest of the things like parsing the input string, generation of parse tree, these are all the same. Okay. So as compared to the CLR1 parsers, step 1 and 2 are same. Only difference in the step number 3, where procedure to construct the LALR1 parsing table is different. Okay. And step number 4 and 5 also similar to the CLR1 parser. Okay. So LALR referred to the, its long form is the look ahead LR. Okay. And to construct the LALR1 parsing table, we have to utilize the canonical collection of LR1 items, the same that we have utilized in the canonical as a in the CLR1 parser. Okay. So in the LR1 parsing, the LR1 items which have the same productions but different lookaheads are combined to form the single set of items. Now, if you see the canonical collection of canonical collection of LR1 items, now in that canonical collection, there are the different states which are having the same, which are having the same LR0 items but different lookaheads. Okay. So while constructing the parsing table for LALR1 items, for construct the parsing table for LALR1 parser, we have to think about that particular different states which are having the different lookahead but the same LR0 items. Okay. So in LALR parsing, the rest of the things is different. Only how to construct the parsing table, that is the different that we are going to see. Okay. Now the point that I am telling you, the in this particular canonical collection of canonical collection of LR1 items, there are the certain states like state I3 and the I6. Where is the state I3 and I6? I3 and the state I6. Now, if you see these two states, their initial part is same. Means these LR0 items are same. Okay. Only the second part is different, means lookaheads are different. Okay. In case of the state I3 and I6. If you see the I4 and the I7, I4 and the I7, in case of this also, the initial part, the LR0 items are same. Only the lookaheads are different. Then if you see the I8 and I9, I8 and the I9, in case of this also, the initial part, the LR0 items is same. Okay, but the second part, that is the lookaheads are different. Okay, so these states having the same LR0 items but different lookaheads. Okay, so what we have to do in order to get the parsing table for LALR1? Okay, in order to get the parsing table for LALR1, we have to merge these states. Which states? These states we have to merge. So how we are going to merge these states? Okay, so I3, I6 will be merged as a I36. Okay, I3, I6 will be merged as a I36. I4, I7 will be merged as a I47. Okay, then I8, I9 will be merged as a I89. Okay, now how to do that? Let's see it. Okay, so you have to merge the state that already I told you. By merging the state, we are actually going to reduce the size of CLR1 parsing table that we'll see. Okay. And how to perform the merging? You have to perform the merging like I3, I6 will be merged to I36. I4, I7 will be merged to the I47. And I8, I9 will be merged as a I89. Okay. Now let's see how to do this. Now, the same table that we have seen in case of the CLR1 parsing that we have modified here. Now, how we have modified here? Let's see. Wherever you will see the 3 and 6, wherever you will see the 3 and 6, that we have to write as a 3, 6. Okay, everywhere you can see wherever in the CLR1 parsing table, wherever we are having the 3 and 6, there we have to write the 3, 6. Okay, here, 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 okay, here, everywhere, wherever there is a 3 or wherever there is a 6, that we have to merge as a 3, 6. Okay, so everywhere we have done the same thing. Okay, now wherever there is a 4 and 7, wherever there is a separate 4 and 7, that we have to merge as a combined 4, 7. So here we have done 4, 7, 4, 7, 4, 7. Okay, 4, 7. So while doing this, you have to compare it with the parsing table of CLR1. Like you can easily understand 4, 7 like this. Okay. Now, whenever you have the separate I8 and the I9, that you have to combine it as a that you have to combine as a 8, 9. So here 8, 9, 8, 9. Okay, 8, 9, 8, 9 like you have done. Okay. So that is the first thing you have to do in table. Wherever you see the 3 and 6 separately, you have to write there 3, 6. Okay. In the states, in the action part, as well as in the go to part. So that is only we have done. Then what is the next thing we have to do? Now, next thing we have to do is the merging. Now we have to see this is the 3, 6 state and this is the 3, 6 state. Now, if you see these two states, both are the similar. So we'll delete this state and we'll just keep this state only. So we'll merge this state within this state. Okay. Then 4, 7. See, where is the 4, 7 you have? Here is the 4, 7 you have. And here is the 4, 7. So we'll merge this state into this state. Okay. And we'll shift this R3 here. Okay. And this will be get reduced. This will be get deleted. Then next I8, 9. So here is I8, 9 and here is I8, 9. Now we'll shift this R2 here and we'll delete this. Okay, so here you can see we have deleted the 3 states, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now after doing this, what final parsing table you will get like this. You can see. Okay, the rest of the content we have merged, and from that we have get the final LALR1 parsing table. So if you see the number of empty positions are increased in case of CLR1 parser and in case of the LALR1 parser also. That is the reason the CLR1 parser and the LALR1 parser are. Here you can see how to get the or how to generate the LALR1 parsing table from the CLR1. Okay. So we have to just perform some modification in the CLR1 parsing table that already I told you. So by comparing the CLR1 parsing table, once again I am telling you. So this is our parsing table for CLR1. So you have to just make the changes wherever there is a 3 and 6, you have to make there as a 3, 6. So here is a 3. So here we have write 3, 6. Okay. Then here is a 6. So here you have write 3, 6. Here is a 7. There you have write the 4, 7. Here is a 3, 3, 7, 6 you have to write. Here is a 4, 4, 7. Here is a 3. So 3, 6. Here is a 4. So 4, 7 you have to write. Then next here is a 6. Here is a 6. Here you have to write the 3, 6. Here is a 6. Here you have to write the 3, 6 again. Here is a 7. Here you have to write 4, 7. Again here is a 7. Here you have to mention the 4, 7. Here is a 8. Here you have to write the I8, 9. Here is a 9. Here also you write the I8, 9. Okay. And here is a 9. So here you have to write the 8, 9. Here is a 8. Here you have to write the 8, 9. Okay. So in this way, after doing this, you have to merge the state, and how to merge already I told you. This 3 6 and this 3 6 will be merged. This will get cancelled. This 4 7 and this 4 7 will be get merged. This will get cancelled. R3 will get shipped here, and this out of this, the second 8 9 will be deleted, and this R2 will be shipped here. And finally, you will get the parsing table like this. And using this parsing table, any kind of string we can parse with the help of the given grammar. So parsing the string example is as it is that we have seen in the LR0 parser. Only the things that will be changed is nothing but the construction of the parsing table. So if you see in the, if you try to compare the previous two parsers like LR0 and the SLR1 with the CLR1, the LLR1. So difference in both in these two categories, nothing but for the LR0 and SLR1, we require the canonical collection of LR0 atoms, and for the CLR1 and the LLR1, we require the canonical collection of LR1 atoms. So how to get that? That already I shown you. Okay, so that's it from this lecture. The remaining part will be continuing in the next lecture. Okay, thank you all of you.